I'm really bored right now, so let's fix up this mini bike and get it ready to ride. If you guys are new here, I picked up that mini bike frame a couple months ago, and then a couple weeks ago, I picked up this $15 Predator 212. It wasn't running at all, but I restored it for completely free. But anyways, that's enough talking, let's get this thing ready to ride. So the first issue we need to solve with this thing is the throttle. When I actually go to twist the throttle cable down here actually doesn't move at all. So right now, I actually am twisting the throttle, and as you guys can see, all the way down here, the throttle cable is not moving at all. So we're going to open up this throttle assembly and see what's going on. To open up these throttle assemblies, it's just 2 screws right here and another one right there. And if any of you guys have ever worked on these stock throttle assemblies, you know that those screws are notorious for stripping out, so you want to be very careful with this. After getting both of those screws out, we should be able to pop off this part of the throttle assembly, and that right there is our issue. So it seems to be that our throttle cable is bent, and it wasn't actually allowing the cable to move at all. Okay, I actually got that throttle cable straight after bending it a little bit, so now we can reassemble the throttle assembly and hope that it will actually work. Well guys, this throttle cable is just completely cooked, so that's just great. But not all hope is lost here. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw this brake lever sitting on my shelf, and if we disconnect this should basically be the exact same thing as a throttle cable. The only issue here is that we somehow got to deal with the end of this thing. Okay, so what I did is took some wire cutters and cut the end of that wire. Now we can actually start mounting this up to the mini bike. Okay, so I didn't film it at all, but I got that throttle assembly set up. So now we should be able to take this throttle cable and hook it up to that carburetor. But we can't. Because if you know anything about mini bikes, this type of throttle cable won't work in that carburetor. Because this is not the stock carburetor and it's a slide style carburetor, your throttle cable has to have a little thing on the end so it can actually stay in the slide and not slide out. But I do know a workaround. I'm going to solder a little blob on the end of the throttle cable and hopefully that will work. This is incredibly stupid and please do not try this. If you're doing this, just get an actual throttle cable. This is pretty risky and it could snap on you. Okay, well I do think that was kind of a success. We now have that little blob on the end of our throttle cable, so now we should be able to put it in our carburetor slide and hopefully it will stay. This right here is our carburetor slide, and we want to get our throttle cable right underneath that golden part in that little groove. We are also having another issue. Our throttle cable is too short, so I'm going to cut some of this throttle cable housing and hopefully that will give us some more space. Okay, well I got the throttle in the carburetor, and as you guys can see, it works. That took a lot more time than expected, so it is pretty late now. So I'm going to end the video right here, and I'll catch you guys back tomorrow. Okay, it is now the second day of trying to get this thing running. We already solved all the issues with the throttle and the throttle cable. So now all we need to do is get a clutch and a chain on the mini bike, and it should run. And to do that, we'll have to go into the room of parts. If you guys are wondering why I'm not filming in here and I'm filming in my room, this is why. I'm not cleaning all this up right now. It's just way too big of a mess. To get that bike to actually run, I'm going to steal this clutch off my built mini bike. Okay, well I got the clutch off the bike, so now we can put this clutch on this bike. Okay, well it turns out I do not have a chain that is long enough for this bike, but I do know a workaround for this. Okay, well it's a couple weeks later and I kind of forgot about this bike right here. I've been caught up in other projects like this KLX right here. This thing is sweet, check it out. But anyways, I got an actual throttle cable thrown on and I got that chain issue fixed. As you can see, we do have a functioning chain now. My only concern with this bike now is that fuel. That fuel has been in that tank since last summer, so I'm going to drain that out and put some new gas in. To drain the fuel out the gas tank, I'm just going to pull the line off the carburetor and drain it into this old rusted out gas tank that I never use. Okay, well I made a pretty big mess, but we got this thing draining in here now. Okay, well I got all the fuel drained out. As you can see, there's no more leaking out this fuel line, so I'm going to hook up the carburetor and then we're going to try to start this thing. I got some fresh gas in there. Now I'm going to try to start it with this drill. Okay, it just started. I didn't film it, but I'm going to film it this time.